The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was alive with colors, lights, and sounds that no single species could describe completely. Hundreds of races had gathered for the ceremony that would officially welcome Earth into the community of stars. From the floating banners that shimmered like liquid fire to the choirs of alien voices singing in unison, everything looked and sounded like a dream. For humanity, this was history. After years of effort, after learning alien languages, studying their laws and proving themselves peaceful explorers, they were finally being accepted. At the center of the hall stood Captain Elias Ward, chosen as humanity's representative. He wore the traditional blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic fleet, simple compared to the extravagant robes and armors around him, but his calm face and steady eyes showed dignity. The council speaker, a being with a crystalline body that glowed softly, raised their voice. Today, the newest member joins us, the people of Earth. May their light add to our shared flame of unity. Applause thundered through the chamber. Some clapped with hands, others with wings, tails, or even resonating tones from glowing throats. Elias felt his chest tighten with pride. His people had made it. Humanity was no longer alone. But not all faces in the crowd were welcoming. Among the dignitaries stood the Drakkar Dominion, a warrior race known for their unshakable pride. Tall and armored with skin like burnished metal and eyes glowing amber, they carried themselves like living blades. Their leader for this event was Princess Kalira, daughter of the Drakkar High Lord. She wore ceremonial armor traced with gold, her posture straight and commanding. When the applause faded, Kalira stepped forward. Her voice was strong, echoing across the chamber. Words are empty without proof. The Drakkar do not respect speeches, only strength. If humans wish to stand among us, let them show they deserve it. The room grew quiet. Diplomats exchanged uneasy glances. This was not part of the ceremony. Elias raised an eyebrow, unsure of where this was going. Kalira pointed directly at him. I, Princess Kalira of the Drakkar Dominion, challenge the human captain to a formal duel of honor. Gasps filled the hall. Some whispered, some laughed, nervously. A duel? At a welcoming ceremony? Elias felt a rush of heat in his chest. He hadn't trained for this. He was a diplomat, not a gladiator. The council speaker shifted uncomfortably. Princess Kalira, this is not... She cut them off. The Dominion has traditions older than this council. We measure worth not by words but by combat. If this human refuses, then Earth joins us as weaklings who hide behind empty promises. Elias stood frozen for a moment. His instincts told him to step back, to argue, to explain. But something in the princess's eyes caught him. Beneath her fierce glare, he saw no hatred, only duty. She was not doing this out of cruelty. She was bound by the weight of her people's customs. Slowly, Elias lifted his chin. His voice was steady. If a duel is what it takes to earn respect, then I accept. The chamber erupted with noise. Some cheered, others groaned. The council speaker tried to protest, but the Drakkar delegates had already begun preparing. For them, tradition could not be delayed. Within an hour, the arena hall was ready. It was a circular platform of polished stone, glowing symbols carved into its edges. Alien spectators filled the balconies, eager to witness this unexpected contest. For the Drakkar, duels were sacred events and word had spread quickly. Even those who disliked humans now leaned forward, curious. Elias stood at one side of the arena, his heart pounding in his chest. He wore no armor, only the uniform he had come in. A ceremonial staff was handed to him, lightweight but sturdy, more a symbol than a weapon. He twirled it awkwardly, trying to feel less like a child holding a stick. On the opposite side, Princess Kalira entered in her gleaming armor. She carried a curved blade that glowed with faint energy, a weapon far more intimidating than his staff. The crowd roared with approval at her presence. She saluted her people, then faced Elias. "You stand brave for one untrained," she said, her voice carrying even in the vast chamber. "But bravery without skill is nothing. Show me what your species is worth." Elias tightened his grip on the staff. He had faced tense negotiations, angry commanders, and dangerous missions, but never something like this. Still, retreat was not an option. The honor of Earth rested on his shoulders. The council speaker raised a crystalline hand. The duel begins. A gong echoed through the arena. Kalira moved first. Her steps were precise, her movements sharp, like a dancer trained in VAR. She swung her blade downward, not with full killing force, but enough to test him. Elias barely managed to block with the staff, the clash sending vibrations up his arms. The crowd cheered. She pressed forward, striking again and again. Elias stumbled back, parrying clumsily. His arms shook, his breath came heavy. She was not trying to kill him, but the pressure was overwhelming. As the duel continued, Elias noticed something strange. Between her strikes, Kalira's eyes softened, almost searching. Her attacks were controlled, careful, as though she didn't want to truly hurt him. He realized then, she didn't hate him. She was trapped by her people's expectations. For a moment, Elias froze, lowering his staff. Kalira raised her blade high, ready for the finishing strike. The crowd leaned forward, expecting the human to fall. But Elias did something no one could have predicted. He dropped his staff. He stepped forward. And instead of fighting, he wrapped his arms around the princess in a hug. The arena went silent. Even Kalira froze, blade hovering in the air, her amber eyes wide in shock. For the Drakkar, this was no small gesture. Their people reserved physical closeness for only the deepest bonds, family, trusted companions, or chosen partners. What Elias had just done was not weakness. It was a statement louder than any weapon. Whispers spread through the balconies. Some gasped, some laughed in disbelief. Others stared in awe. Kalira's hand trembled on her sword. Her people watched, waiting for her to react, yet she could not lift the blade. Instead, she felt the warmth of the human's embrace, something alien yet strangely calming. Elias spoke softly so only she could hear. I don't want to fight you. Humanity didn't come here to make enemies. If respect must be earned, let it be through understanding, not blood. Her heart, trained to be as unyielding as steel, wavered for the first time. The council speaker finally broke the silence. The duel is complete. By Drakkar tradition, the human has chosen the path of unity. The hall exploded with noise, cheers, shouts, confusion. No one had expected this outcome. Princess Kalira stepped back, lowering her blade slowly. Her eyes never left Elias. For the first time in her life, she was the one left without words. And so, what began as a challenge of combat ended with an embrace that would shake the stars. The arena still hummed with the echoes of what had just happened. The crowd had seen many duels before, some brutal, some ceremonial, but never had anyone ended one with such a strange gesture. The human captain had embraced the Drakkar princess, instead of striking her. To the galaxy, this was either madness or genius. Princess Kalira stood frozen in Elias's arms, her sword lowered but her thoughts spinning. She had expected a fight, a test of strength, a clash that would prove her people superior. Instead, she found herself caught in a moment she could not explain. When Elias finally stepped back, his hands falling to his sides, the silence was broken by murmurs, laughter, and gasps from every corner of the balconies. Did the human win? Someone whispered. Or did he surrender? Asked another. No, said an elder Drakkar with a trembling voice. He embraced her. By our law, that is something very different. Kalira's golden eyes narrowed. What do you mean? She demanded, turning to the elder. The old warrior bowed his head. Princess, among our people, an embrace in the duel is not a sign of weakness. It is an ancient symbol. It means the challenger has chosen to bond instead of break. And the one who accepts the embrace? He paused, glancing at Elias, who looked confused but calm. The one who accepts is considered promised. Gasps swept through the arena again. 1,000 eyes now stared at Kalira and Elias with new understanding. Kalira's mouth parted slightly, but no words came. She had been raised to honor tradition, to live by her people's codes of strength and loyalty, and now before the eyes of her people she had been bound by them. Elias, sensing the shift in atmosphere, tilted his head. "Promised? I don't quite follow." The elder spoke again. "By Drekar tradition, Captain Elias Ward, you and Princess Kalira are now engaged." The hall erupted. Aliens shouted in disbelief. Some laughed hysterically at the absurdity. Others, particularly the Drekar, roared in approval. Engagement by Duel was rare but sacred. No one could challenge its legality. Elias's eyes widened. "Engaged? Wait, I didn't—" He glanced at Kalira, who was glaring at him with fiery intensity. "I only meant to, well, I thought showing peace would stop the fight." Kalira stepped closer, her voice low and sharp. "Human, do you realize what you have done? In front of my people? Before the council?" Elias lifted his hands helplessly. "I was trying not to embarrass you or hurt either of us." "Embarrass me?" Her voice grew louder. "You have just bound me to you in front of the galaxy." The council speaker, glowing faintly brighter than usual, raised a crystalline arm to calm the chaos. "Silence. The duel is concluded. According to Drekar law, the result stands. Let it be recorded. The princess of the Dominion and the human captain are promised by bond." The crowd buzzed like a living storm. Later, in a quieter chamber behind the arena, Elias and Kalira were brought together by council guards. She paced like a caged predator, her golden cape fluttering behind her while Elias sat calmly at the table, still processing everything. "This is absurd," Kalira muttered, running a hand over her forehead. "I came to test you to prove humanity weak, and now—" She turned to him sharply. "Why did you do it? Why didn't you fight?" Elias leaned back, folding his arms. His voice was calm, steady. "Because I didn't come here to fight you. We're guests, not conquerors. And honestly, you didn't look like you wanted to hurt me either. You looked lonely." Kalira froze, startled by the words. "Lonely? I am heir to the Dominion throne. I have commanders, armies, and worlds at my command. I am never alone." Elias smiled softly. "Yet in that duel, it seemed like you carried more weight than anyone else in the room. Like the challenge wasn't for me, but for yourself." Her jaw tightened. She wanted to deny it, but the truth stung too close. Since birth, she had been trained to be strong, to never show weakness, to live as a symbol of her people's pride. Yet here was a stranger, seeing through the steel of her armor in a single moment. Kalira turned away. "Your words are dangerous, human. Careless." "Maybe," Elias replied, "but they're honest." The news spread faster than any ship could travel. Across the council world, stories blazed across networks. Human captain defeats princess without a fight. First Earth delegate accidentally engaged to Drekar royalty. Hug declared legal duel victory. On Earth, people celebrated with laughter and amazement. In the Dominion, warriors argued fiercely. Some believed their princess had been dishonored. Others claimed she had gained a partner bold enough to challenge their traditions in a new way. Meanwhile, the council chamber was filled with arguments. Some alien representatives mocked the Drekar, saying their customs had been turned into comedy. Others warned that this union could destabilize power. A few, however, whispered that perhaps humanity had brought something new, something refreshing. For Kalira and Elias, life became more complicated overnight. At a private council dinner, diplomats whispered while glancing at them. Elias tried to remain calm, greeting others politely, but Kalira looked as though she would rather cut the stairs with her blade. "You are too calm," she muttered under her breath as they sat side by side. "Would you rather I panic?" Elias asked lightly. "Doesn't really help, does it?" She shot him a glare, then sighed. "You truly do not understand what this means. Engagement for my people is not a game. It binds honor, family, and future together. The galaxy now believes I chose you." "And did you?" Elias asked softly. Kalira paused, caught off guard. She looked away, unwilling to answer. That night, in her private chamber, Kalira stared at her reflection in the polished steel mirror. She saw the proud princess she was supposed to be, strong, untouchable. But now her image felt blurred, uncertain. The human's embrace replayed in her mind. No one had dared hold her like that before, not even her own people. To the Drakkar, closeness was rare, sacred, and yet when Elias did it, it felt sincere. He had no plan, no manipulation, just honesty. She clenched her fists. "Foolish human," she whispered. "Why do your words follow me?" Meanwhile, Elias sat in his guest quarters sending a report back to Earth. He wrote plainly, "The Drakkar princess challenged me. I ended the duel with a hug. Their law now considers us engaged. Situation complicated." He rubbed his temples, chuckling softly despite the chaos. "Engaged to an alien princess. My mother will never believe this." Yet beneath his humor, he felt the weight of what had happened. He hadn't just embarrassed himself, he had changed the course of diplomacy between two species. And judging by the look in Kalira's eyes, this was only the beginning. The next day, a special session of the council was called. Delegates filled the chamber, buzzing with anticipation. At the center stood Kalira and Elias side by side once again. The council speaker raised their glowing arm. "Members, we must address the union declared yesterday. The Drakkar law binds it. Do we, as a council, recognize it?" The chamber erupted in voices, some shouting yes, others no. Kalira's voice cut through the noise. "Whether I agree or not, my people will honor the duel's outcome. To deny it would be to deny centuries of tradition. The Dominion will not break its word." Her words silenced many. The council looked to Elias. He hesitated, then nodded. "I didn't plan for this, but I will not run from it either. If this bond is the result of peace instead of war, then I'll stand by it." Gasps again, but this time mixed with applause. For the first time since the duel, Kalira looked at him, not as a mistake, not as an enemy, but as something else. A puzzle she had not yet solved. And deep within her heart, though she would never admit it, curiosity replaced anger. Thus, the duel meant to humble humanity had instead created a bond neither side expected. What began with a challenge had now bound two worlds together in a misunderstanding that might one day change the galaxy. And as the council adjourned, one thought echoed in Elias's mind. What in the stars have I gotten myself into? The council chamber had never been so alive. Even in moments of crisis, it had not buzzed with so much energy. Representatives from 100 species leaned forward, eager to catch every word, every glance between the human and the Drakkar princess. What had started as a ceremonial duel had become the most talked-about event in the galaxy. Captain Elias Ward sat stiffly, though he tried to appear calm. He had faced pressure before, command briefings, tense negotiations, but nothing like this. To half the galaxy, he was now a hero who had won respect with peace. To the other half, he was an interloper who had broken traditions with careless boldness. At his side stood Princess Kalira, radiant in golden armor but silent, her face unreadable. Only her eyes betrayed her thoughts. She could still feel the warmth of the human's embrace from the duel, though she would never say it aloud. The council speaker raised their glowing crystalline hand. "It is settled. The duel stands. The law binds. The Drakkar Dominion acknowledges this engagement as valid." A wave of whispers filled the air. The words were official now. There was no turning back. After the session, the council provided Elias and Kalira with a private room so they could speak freely. The chamber was elegant, with walls that shifted colors like a living sky. The two stood in silence, neither knowing where to begin. Finally, Kalira broke it. "Human, do you realize what this means?" Her voice was low but sharp. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. "I think so. Though, to be honest, I didn't exactly read the rulebook for Drakkar duels." "This is not a jest," she snapped, Her golden eyes blazed. By our tradition, I am now bound to you, not just in words, in honor, in expectation. Every eye in my dominion will be on us. Every rival will test us. You have changed my life in a single careless moment. Elias leaned forward, his tone firm but gentle. I didn't mean to trap you, I just didn't want to fight. I thought, maybe if I showed you that we want peace, it would mean something. Her lips pressed together. She wanted to argue, but deep down she remembered the way he had looked at her, not with fear, not with arrogance, but with sincerity. He had embraced her not to mock her, but to reach her, and against all logic it had worked. Kalira exhaled slowly. You are either the bravest fool I have ever met, or the cleverest. Why not both? Elias offered with a small smile. She gave him a glare sharp enough to cut steel, but her heart betrayed her with the faintest flicker of amusement. Within days, the galaxy's networks were filled with reports. Artists painted scenes of the duel. Some made Elias look like a heroic figure, others drew him as a ridiculous man hugging a confused warrior princess. On Earth, people celebrated with memes and jokes. First contact and already engaged, one headline read. But beneath the humor, many humans felt pride. Their representative had stood tall and earned respect without violence. In the Dominion, the reaction was more complicated. Some hailed Kalira's engagement as destiny, a sign that the princess would lead them into a new age. Others claimed it was shameful, that a proud warrior princess had been tricked by a weak outsider. Whispers of rebellion stirred among her. Rivals Elias soon learned just how serious the situation was. At a diplomatic feast hosted by the council, he noticed how many eyes followed him and Kalira. Delegates from peaceful species smiled and congratulated them. Delegates from harsher worlds whispered and sneered. Kalira, seated beside him, kept her chin high, ignoring the looks. But Elias leaned closer and whispered, "They're staring at us like we're a show." "That is because we are," she replied without turning her head. "Every word we speak, every glance we share will be weighed. You are no longer just a captain, human. You are my intended. That title carries danger." "Danger?" Elias asked. Kalira's gaze swept the hall. "There are those who will not accept this bond. They will see you as a weakness and me as a traitor to our pride. Already some will be plotting." Elias frowned, his instincts sharpening. He had thought this would only be political embarrassment, but the way she spoke told him the stakes were far higher. That very night, her warning proved true. As Elias walked back to his quarters, he noticed a shadow moving in the corridor. The lights flickered and 3 tall figures stepped out, cloaked in dark armor with the Drakkar crest. "You are not worthy of her," one growled. Their blades gleamed faintly. "Better you vanish before this mistake spreads further." Elias's heart pounded. He had no weapon, no training for this kind of ambush. But just as the assassins closed in, a flash of golden light split the air. Kalira appeared, her blade drawn, her cape flowing like fire. With movements swift as lightning, she struck their weapons aside. Her voice thundered. "Cowards! You would attack in shadows? You disgraced the Dominion." The assassins hesitated under her fury, then retreated into the darkness. Breathing heavily, Elias looked at her. You followed me?" Kalira sheathed her blade. "I told you, human. You are my intended now. It is my duty to protect you." Elias shook his head with a wry smile. Usually it's the fiancé who says that. Her lips almost curved into a smile, but she hid it quickly. "Do not jest about this. From now on you must watch every step." The attack only fueled the storm in the council. Rumors spread that the Dominion itself was divided. Some believed Kalira's union with Elias could be a bridge to peace. Others feared it would weaken their warrior identity. Elias found himself standing beside Kalira at meeting after meeting. He was inexperienced in galactic politics, but his honesty and calm presence won him unexpected allies. Species long intimidated by the Dominion admired how the human faced the storm without losing composure. One afternoon, during a heated debate, A rival delegate mocked Kaelira, saying she had been defeated by a hug. The chamber laughed, but Elias stood and spoke clearly. If a hug can stop a war, then I'll choose it every time. If respect can only come from fear, then it isn't respect at all. It's just control. Humanity believes real strength is choosing not to harm when you could. The laughter died. The chamber grew quiet. Even Kaelira, sitting beside him, turned her head slowly to study him. His words were simple, but they carried weight. That night, Kaelira met him on the balcony overlooking the stars. The city below glowed with alien lights, and ships drifted like fireflies across the black sky. "You speak boldly," she said softly. "Should I not?" he asked. "You risk making enemies." "Maybe, but if we keep hiding what we believe, we'll never change anything." She looked at him for a long moment, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "You are not like the warriors I know. You are something different. Something my people may need." Elias chuckled. "And what about you? Do you need something different too?" Her heart skipped at the question. She turned away quickly, hiding her face. "Do not mistake curiosity for weakness, human." But her thoughts betrayed her. For the first time, she wondered if this unforeseen engagement might be more than just an accident of tradition. And so the bond that began as a misunderstanding grew deeper, forged not by choice, but by circumstance. The galaxy watched closely, waiting to see whether a human's honesty and a princess's pride could form something greater. Neither Elias nor Kaelira knew the answer yet. But one thing was certain. Together, they were no longer just representatives. They were a story unfolding before the stars, and their next chapter would test them more than either could imagine. The days that followed were unlike anything the Council had ever seen. News of the engagement duel spread across the stars like a fire that could not be contained. Every corner of the galaxy had an opinion, and none were quiet about it. Peaceful worlds, children laughed and acted out the scene of the human hugging the warrior princess. On harsher planets, warriors scoffed and said the Drakkar had been humiliated. Meanwhile, among the Dominion itself, Kaelira's people argued bitterly. Some claimed that the princess had been tricked by human cunning. Others swore this union was a sign of fate, that perhaps the Dominion was destined to change. But one thing was clear: the galaxy was no longer watching the Council's politics. They were watching Elias and Kaelira. Elias sat in his quarters one evening, staring at the glowing reports that appeared on his table. Messages from Earth poured in. His government was both proud and nervous. Some officials congratulated him for winning honor without blood. Others warned him to be cautious. Alliances could shift dangerously if he mishandled this bond. He sighed, rubbing his temples. He had trained for diplomacy, but not for this. Not for an accidental engagement to a princess whose people were famous for their pride and temper. A voice interrupted his thoughts. "You look defeated, human." Kaelira stepped into the room, still in her ceremonial armor, her golden eyes, calm but sharp. Elias gave her a tired smile. "Not defeated, just overwhelmed. I didn't think a hug could shake the galaxy." Her lips curved, almost like a smile, but she hid it quickly. "Do not underestimate symbols. My people believe in them deeply. They will fight wars for symbols. And now you have become one." "Me? A symbol?" Elias chuckled. "That sounds dangerous." "It is," she said plainly. "Dangerous for both of us." The danger became clear at the next council assembly. The chamber was crowded, the air heavy with tension. Rival leaders accused the Drakkar of weakening themselves, while others whispered that the engagement could create a new era of peace. One delegate, a thin creature with translucent skin, sneered at Kaelira. "Princess, tell us, was it strength or weakness that made you surrender to a human's arms?" The chamber rippled with laughter. Kaelira's eyes burned, but before she could speak, Elias rose. His voice was calm but steady. "She did not surrender," he said. "She honored tradition. She upheld her people's law even when it demanded something unexpected. That is not weakness, that is strength." The hall quieted. Kalira turned her head slowly, surprised at his defense. For the first time, she saw him not just as a man caught in her customs, but as someone who respected them enough to speak for her. Yet, not all were convinced. In the shadows beyond the council, plots formed. Rival houses of the Dominion whispered that Kalira had betrayed her warrior blood. They sent agents to stir unrest, to spread lies that the princess had been enchanted by human tricks. One night, as Elias walked through the council gardens, he felt eyes watching him. From the dark trees stepped cloaked figures, their blades drawn. He braced himself, but before they could strike, Kalira appeared again, her sword flashing in the starlight. The attackers fled, but Kalira did not lower her weapon at once. Her breath came hard, her face fierce. "You cannot walk alone anymore. Every shadow will hold danger." Elias looked at her, breathing steadily. "I thought you said I was your intended. Doesn't that mean I should be the one protecting you?" For a moment her fierce expression broke and her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Perhaps," she admitted. "But until you learn how, I will guard you." The days turned into weeks, and slowly, something began to change between them. They attended council debates together, and though they argued often in private, they stood united in public. Elias spoke with honesty that many species found refreshing. Kalira, though still proud, found herself admiring the way he faced insult and threat with calm instead of anger. One evening, after a long council session, they stood on a balcony, overlooking the city below. Lights shimmered across towers, ships drifted through the night sky like silver birds. Elias leaned on the railing. "You know, when I first came here, I thought I'd spend these weeks talking about trade and peace. Treaties. I didn't imagine standing on a balcony with an alien princess pretending to be engaged." Kalira tilted her head. "Pretending?" He paused, realizing his words. "I mean, it wasn't planned." Her eyes glowed softly in the starlight. "Planned or not, it is real now." Silence stretched between them, heavy but not uncomfortable. For the first time, Kalira did not feel the weight of duty pressing down on her. For the first time, she allowed herself to simply stand beside someone and breathe. But the galaxy would not leave them in peace. Rumors spread that the Dominion's enemies saw this engagement as a weakness. Fleets near their borders began to stir. The council grew restless, fearing that a war might break out, not between humans and Drakkar, but between the Dominion and those who sought to challenge them now. In an emergency session, voices clashed like blades. Some demanded the engagement be annulled, claiming it destabilized balance. Others insisted it must stand, for breaking tradition would dishonor the Dominion forever. Through it all, Kalira sat silent, her hands tight on the arms of her chair. Finally she rose, her voice cutting through the storm. "You call my bond weakness," she said, her words sharp as steel. "Yet this human has shown more strength than many of you. He faced me without fear, and he faced this council without deceit. If that is weakness, then perhaps we should all be weak." The chamber stilled. Elias watched her, a strange warmth stirring in his chest. For all her sharpness, for all her pride, Kalira had defended him, not because of law, not because of duty, but because perhaps she believed in him. That night, Elias found her in the training hall, striking at a target with her blade. Sparks flew as metal met energy, her movements fierce and flawless. "You spoke well today," Elias said, stepping closer. She sheathed her sword, turning to him. "Do not mistake it for kindness. I defended my honor, and by bond, yours is tied to mine." Elias smiled faintly. "Even so, thank you." Kalira studied him in silence. Finally, she said, "You speak of peace as if it is a weapon, but today, I saw it cut deeper than any blade." For a moment, their eyes met, and the space between them seemed to narrow. Then Kalira turned away quickly, hiding her thoughts behind her usual strength. "Do not grow proud, human. This storm is only beginning." And she was right. The galaxy had not calmed. It was boiling. Rivals whispered, fleets moved, and shadows gathered. But something new had also taken root. Something unexpected. Between a proud princess and a human captain, a bond was forming. Not just of law, not just of honor, but of something deeper. Something both of them were still afraid to name. As the stars wheeled overhead, Kalyra and Elias stood together, knowing the storm would only grow stronger. Yet for the first time they did not feel alone in facing it. The storm of politics, whispers, and unrest finally reached its breaking point. Across the galaxy, alliances trembled. Some worlds prepared for war, convinced the Dominion had weakened itself by letting its princess be bound to a human. Others prepared for hope, believing this engagement could reshape the future. The council chambers buzzed with arguments that never seemed to end. But deep inside, both Elias and Kalyra understood one truth. This was no longer just about laws or traditions. Their bond, though unexpected, had become real. And now the galaxy would judge not only their people, but also their hearts. The tension came to a head when the council announced an emergency summit. Leaders from rival factions demanded Kalyra prove her strength, or renounce her engagement. Rumors swirled of fleets gathering at the Dominion's borders, ready to test the princess's resolve. Kalyra did not waver. She stood tall in her armor, golden eyes unblinking as she faced the council. Elias, though nervous, stood at her side. Together they faced an audience of thousands, delegates, generals, and observers from across the stars. The hall was vast, echoing with murmurs. The Drakkar High Lords sat stiffly, their faces carved from stone. Human officials shifted uneasily, worried that a single word could spark war. And in the shadows, enemies waited eagerly for any sign of weakness. The council speaker rose. His voice carried across the chamber. Princess Kalyra, Captain Elias, the galaxy questions your union. Some say it is a deception. Some say it is a mistake. Prove otherwise, or dissolve it. The silence that followed was crushing. Kalyra stepped forward first. Her voice was steady, ringing like steel. When I demanded a duel, I expected blood. Instead, I was given peace. It is true Elias broke tradition, but he did not dishonor it. He gave me respect when others would have given me only a blade. And by our ancient law, that respect bound us. I will not deny it. I will not hide it. He is my chosen. Her words echoed, but many faces remained doubtful. Then Elias spoke. His voice was calm, but it carried a weight that surprised even himself. I never meant to insult your traditions. I only gave what I believed was right, a gesture of trust. I don't have your strength, princess. I don't have your armies or your titles, but I have seen enough war to know this. Strength without peace only breaks worlds. If you want proof of my worth, I can't give you battles won or enemies defeated. All I can give you is my word, that I will stand by Kalyra, not to weaken her, but to walk beside her. A long silence followed. Some scoffed, some whispered, but others listened closely, their eyes softening. Then came the challenge. A rival Dominion lord rose from his seat, tall and armored, his voice sharp with anger. Words, always words. If this union is real, let it be proven not by speeches but by action. Let them face trial as the old ways demand. The hall roared with approval from some, dismay from others. The trial was set. Not a duel to the death, but a test of unity. Elias and Kalyra would have to face obstacles together, proving that their bond was not a weakness, but a strength. If they failed, the engagement would be dissolved and the Dominion would reclaim its honor by force. The trial began in the ancient arena of the Drakkar, a place where history was carved into stone. Towering walls surrounded them, and thousands of eyes watched from the seats above. The first challenge was strength. Together, they had to move a colossal stone gate that blocked their path. Kalyra's power was unmatched. Her muscles strained. Her armor gleamed with effort, but the gate was too heavy for one alone. Elias, though smaller, placed his hands beside hers. Slowly, with his weight and her force combined, the gate shifted. The crowd murmured, seeing cooperation where they had expected failure. The second challenge was wisdom. A maze of glowing symbols surrounded them, each path leading to traps or dead ends. Kalira's instinct urged her forward, but Elias stopped her. He studied the patterns, recalling lessons from Earth's ancient puzzles. Patiently, he guided them through the maze, each step deliberate. Kalira followed, her respect for his mind growing with every correct turn. The third challenge was courage. From the shadows of the arena, a massive beast emerged, an armored creature bred for war, its roar shaking the ground. Kalira drew her, sword at once ready to strike, but Elias stepped forward, raising a hand. "No," he said firmly. "Let me try." The crowd gasped. A human against such a beast seemed madness. But Elias did not fight. Instead, he crouched low, showing his empty hands. He spoke softly, calmly, his voice carrying a strange gentleness. Slowly, the beast's rage quieted. Its armored head lowered, and with surprising calm it turned and walked away. The arena fell silent. Even Kalira's eyes widened. She had seen warriors tame beasts with chains and blades, but never with patience and trust. At last, the final challenge awaited: unity. The arena floor split apart, revealing two paths. One led to safety, the other to danger. They could only choose one. Together. Elias looked at Kalira. "Whatever happens, we decide as one." For a long moment she studied him. In her heart, she had always trusted strength. But now she realized, strength alone was not enough. Slowly she nodded. Together. They chose the left path. The ground shook, fire rose, but then stilled. The path held firm, leading them into the light. The arena erupted in thunderous applause. Not all voices cheered, but enough did that the message was clear. Their bond had survived the trial. When they emerged, the council awaited their return. The speaker rose once more. "You have faced the trial. You have shown strength, wisdom, courage, and unity. By ancient law, your bond is true." Some delegates still muttered, but none could deny the result. Even the rival lord who had demanded the trial fell silent. His challenge defeated not by blood but by the unity of two hearts. Kalira stood tall, her golden eyes fierce. Let it be known across the stars. The Dominion does not weaken itself by honoring this bond. We are stronger for it. And together with humanity, we will face the future. Elias felt the weight of every gaze upon him. He took a deep breath and spoke the words that would seal their place in history. And let the galaxy know this. We will not rule through fear, but through trust. For today, strength and peace walk side by side. The days that followed changed everything. The Dominion, once feared only for its armies, began to earn respect for its new symbol of unity. Human worlds found allies where once they found enemies. Even rivals who had wished for war paused, uncertain in the face of such an unexpected bond. But beyond politics and symbols, something deeper had grown. On a quiet night, after the endless ceremonies and speeches, Elias and Kalira found themselves once again on the balcony, stars stretching endlessly before them. Kalira's voice was softer than usual. "You faced every trial without fear, even the beast. Why?" Elias smiled faintly. "Because I wasn't alone." She turned to him, her golden eyes reflecting the stars. For once, she did not hide behind pride or duty. For once, she simply allowed herself to be. "Perhaps," she whispered, "the galaxy was right to watch us." Elias nodded. "Maybe. But the galaxy doesn't matter right now, only this." And as the stars wheeled above them, the human and the alien princess stood side by side, not just bound by law or tradition, but by a bond neither had expected, and both had come to cherish. The galaxy called it history. They called it the beginning.